All right, we've got Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 4, come and gone. Always with me, JP. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing, yeah.
Well, I introduced him. My name is Justin, and we are the Podcasting Dead. Yes, from the name, we do podcast about The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and even Walking Dead comics, but we podcast about a lot of other stuff. So if you're just a fan of podcasts in general, consider subscribing to our channel, giving this a like, just help us out. We'll talk about the Patreon and our own social media after the podcast. But in the meantime, let's get to it. We got a lot more Daniel this episode.
Yep, finally got nitty gritty with Daniel.
As mysterious as he arrived, he was gone.
Yeah, man. Oh God.
I really do hope we see his, at least. I mean, I don't know, because you don't know what's going to happen. But the actor is a singer and he's a very talented musician and yada. So it's almost like him coming back was kind of fanfare. Right. And then, so I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see what happens, and it's not just their way of bringing him in for a little bit and then sending him back off. But I don't know, man. It looks like we're getting a owl-centered episode next week.
Yeah. I kind of worry they're going to that thing where they're just going to, give you a little taste of what's going on over here in this corner for a whole episode. You know how I feel about that.
Kind of going to like you just kind of like the Beth and Daryl thing where it's just focused on one person or two people. Like, we want to know what's happening with the other people.
Yeah, man. I kind of feel like it's fallen into that same sort of place that The Walking Dead was in, like for season 7-ish maybe.
Oh, well, season 5-ish, because remember season 5, season 4, sorry, because season 4, the mid-season finale was the prison assault where the prison was taken down. And then out of that, we got the episodes where, like one day we'd be with Rick and Carl, and then the next you'd be with Daryl and Beth. And then, you know what I mean? So you had a lot more of the singled out episodes, and people just did not dig that format, myself included. It's like, man, I want to know what's happening with everybody. I get kind of tired of the split up thing, but...
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm tired of like the scattered stories. I just want one really strong, focused-in storyline.
Right, I agree.
I wish they'd kind of skim the cast off a little, cut the dead weight some. I wish the first 2 episodes, man, we had just seen a lot of bloodshed,
Oh, yeah.
Just really trim it down and just get to some really tight, character-focused storytelling. I'm not going on a show bashing trip.
Oh no! I was gonna say, because this episode wasn't that bad at all. No, I agree. But I mean, still the complaints are there. It's like, man, we love the show. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get back to season 3 glory, but or season 4 first half. Season 4A, the first half was awesome, but yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. Unless they've just because season 9 of The Walking Dead is really where they stepped up and started realizing, okay, people get tired of these like one or two character centered episodes and leaving the cast behind. And a lot of season 9 was flashing between different things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we saw what was happening with one or two characters and their own story, and then we got to see what was also at the same time happening with others. So I don't know, but the one good news is the more we get back to Althena, that's her actual name, right? We just call her Al, but Althena. So. But the more we get to her, the closer we get to unraveling some stuff about Rick, because I mean, this helicopter definitely is like the same type. I don't know if it's the exact same helicopter, but it definitely looks like it's in the same family as the helicopter that rescued Rick.
Yeah, man, there can't be but so many helicopters just floating around. That's for sure. So yeah, it was a tasty little payoff at the end. I'm not going to lie and say I was just sucked in throughout the whole episode. But
you should be happy you got a lot more Strand.
Yeah, there was a lot more Strand, and that was cool. He's doing his thing, and Daniel finally came around and saw that Strand is a changed man and a beautiful man.
I mean, considering Strand shot him in the face the last time they met, I mean, Daniel's better than I am. First thing I would have done is boop.
Yeah, man. So yeah, as a new cool kind of way to kill some undead assailants, yeah.
And of course, it just happened to burn the motor out right at the end.
Yeah, man, it was kind of weird, I don't know why Daniel opted to go under the assault vehicle. And when I first got there, I think I would have been like, "Open the door, let me in there." Before,
I would have at least just went. Well, he went under and then just stopped. Like I know that he was fighting one or two of them, but he had chances just to roll out the other side. I would have went under, up on the other side, been like, open the door and climbed in and been like, let's get out of here. And you would have had to waste a perfectly good plane.
I'm telling you, man, while I still very much enjoy the show, it does make me kind of yearn for the Daniel of season 3, just for season 3 in general.
Just a badass bent on revenge.
Yeah, just
like
the
angry
mood,
Daniel.
The everything.
His hat is have you paid attention to the hat that he's wearing? It's an interesting little hat.
Yeah.
At some points it looks like a beanie, and then at some points it looks like a yarmulke. And then at some point, is a yarmulke's the rabbi hat, right?
Right.
And then at some points, I don't know, it's got like an adjustment. The hat was tripping me out, man. It looks like something out of an old like 1940s comic or something.
Yeah. He's definitely cool, man, with that blues tune and just doing his thing.
That'd be cool. And maybe it was, to tell me if I'm wrong. It'd been cool if he was playing like some of his own music, from real life, because since everybody says he's such a talented musician. But yeah, so I hope we get more Daniel. I mean, like I said, I really like him in Skidmark, which that actually was the name of this episode, I believe, wasn't it? Skidmark was the cat.
I think so.
Yeah, no, I know because Skidmark's a cat, but I think they named the episode Skidmark. But yeah, so we finally get what's going on with those kids in a way. Like they're basically just trying to protect themselves. Another instance where that's kind of, The Walking Dead last season. We had Michonne having to chop through a bunch of kids, and now we got another army of evil kids.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lord of the Flies out there.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. Which now, now we know that they're not necessarily evil. They're just trying to protect themselves, and especially and we know that they said that 2 people arrived with that helicopter. One of them we know is dead. That's the one that Al saw or whatever. So there's one left, but then the helicopter leaves. So I wonder if they took Al with them. Like maybe we're going to get some answers. I don't know. I was watching some of the previews from next week's episode, which I try not to pay too much attention to because, like yourself, I really like to just get the full effect. But I don't know. It sounds like she's going to get to talk to him. Hopefully, we'll get some answers.
Hopefully, man. So can you shed any light on where Daniel was going? I know he said he had to resolve something, and I don't know if I'd missed something maybe, but
yeah. It's I don't know. He mentioned that he inherited that building. Has he said for sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, sorry, it's a lot going on in life right now, but has he said that the person that owned the place before him died, or did they leave? Like, did he maybe trap them somewhere? Because he said that person had set all those traps. Is he maybe going to rescue that person? What do you think he's going to do?
I don't know, man. It's a lot going on. I almost wish, as much as I don't like the splintered, scattered storylines, it'd have been pretty cool to see Strand go off with Daniel, just to kind of, I owe you one, even though I did just save your life. And
have like a Daniel and Strand spinoff.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we've got Luciana back. I mean, I didn't mind this episode. I don't mind this season, but I just feel like the pacing is very slow in this show. Like with The Walking Dead, even the slower seasons, there's still something we know that we see what we're building towards. I mean, season 7 and 8, which were, a lot of people complain about them, especially season 7, just being so slow. At least we still knew where we were. You know what I mean? I don't know how to put it into words. We knew where we were headed. We saw the horizon we were trying to get to. It just was taking forever to get there. With this one, it just kind of feels like so what's the end game here? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This season so far hadn't really sucked me in too much. I love my Strand, and the Rick helicopter mystery is definitely a good selling point. But I don't know, man. I wish this season was more like Walker, Texas Ranger, and I don't know exactly how to explain that, but I really just wish... I wish they had to come across just like the last bastion of Texas Rangers, who are just trying to restore law and order. There's a small kind of community. So, Texas is so spread out. I mean, you could still kind of have territories with survivors. Maybe they come into a territory where the Texas Rangers are, doing their thing. And then you got the neo-Nazi Aryan territory over. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Side note for our longtime listeners, of course, I've never published anything, probably never will, but if I said a long time ago, I wrote an apocalypse story, and in my story, they run across a group of young guys. 1 or 2 were former military, but the rest were just trying to do good, but they literally were like a group of mercenaries, like in the apocalypse, who were trying to go place to place and stop whatever atrocity. Mm-hmm. Like, they basically were just trying to be heroes. Like, they would go town to town, and basically, if you had somebody bullying you or some gang was controlling like water supply, whatever, they would come in and try to help you, and then ultimately, spoiler, they all end up dying because they're very naive and they get themselves into a conflict just without, because they just jump into conflicts to help people and some, but anyways, but like kind of like that, like you just had a group of guys who were just trying to do good and yada, yada, yada. But it just made me think about when you said like a last band of Texas Rangers, like doing their thing.
How cool that, and like John Dory gets pulled in because he used to be a cop. And I don't know, I hate to get off track, man. I know people want us to hear us talk about what happened last night.
Is it bad that the bullet splitting thing, it was cool, but I still just kind of wish it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
I know it was last week's episode, but it just to me was what it's like, all right, man, come on, don't do that. Like what we loved about The Walking Dead was, like I've said before, yes, obviously dead eating the living is not realistic, but at the end of the day, they still kept it somewhat grounded in reality on like, the grittiness and how tough it could be. And then now you got dudes splitting, and not only did he split the bullets, but he hit them both in the head, which was just kind of like, come on, man, that's getting a little bit too much. I know he does trick shots, and I know there are, but I mean, already up to this point, I could deal with his badass head shots and stuff because it was like, well, there are people in this world that are just nasty with single shot revolvers like that do trick shots, but the splitting thing, I don't know, man, that just kind of took me out of it. But anyways, I digress. That was last week's episode.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Gimple went from polluting the main show to now polluting this show.
He's just spreading his Gimple pimple BS other places.
Man.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't. So you said this season you're just not really digging it. Talking about.
I mean, like I said, I love my Strand. There's still some good stuff going on, but if you ask me what's going on, I'd really be hard pressed to kind of.
I find with season 9 of The Walking Dead, I put my phone down. You know what I mean? Like I was watching the episodes, I was digging them. It was just, and then I was very much this. I'm not gonna say it feels like a chore, but like I was watching the new season of Jessica Jones, which I'm sure because I love it, everybody else hates it. But I love the new season of Jessica Jones, and I'm like pretty good ways through it. And I thought, oh man, damn it, I got to turn this off. Fear the Walking Dead. Whereas if The Walking Dead was on, I'd be like, all right, got to turn this off. The Walking Dead starts in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, I almost would have just preferred. I was so tempted to just be like, I'm gonna stay up late and catch the 11 o'clock because I wasn't just that excited to just turn off and go watch it. But I feel you. I mean, there's some good things about it, but it's just not. I don't know. I find with this one, I'm in my phone the whole time I'm watching it. And
yeah, it's like if somebody asked me, so who's the big bad guy this season? I would just be like,
somebody in a helicopter?
Yeah, there's somebody's like decorating the woods with walkers for some reason, and there was some radiation for a couple episodes, and some kids are doing some weird stuff. And I don't know.
Sidebar.
Daniel might be good. He might be bad. Oh, well, no, he's cool. He's cool now.
I try not to go into other shows while we're talking about this because I want to keep it on subject. But I will say, just because it comes on right afterwards, Nosferatu last night was pretty good.
Yeah, man. I kind of fell off on that. But.
Yeah, last night. I mean, it's a slow show. It's at least I think so. It's a slow show, but at the end of the day. I don't think it's bad, but this last episode was pretty good. Some moving in some bizarre directions, but I mean, it was just a lot more that happened this episode as far as just like some backstory, and you finally get to see like a vampire do what vampires do. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, going into that show, like I said, I was expecting more of like an American Horror Story kind of vibe, whereas when we started watching it kind of almost felt more like a CW kind of.
That's a good comparison,
but,
yeah. But
I love Zachary Quinto, and it does seem like there's a cool story there. So
yeah, this last week's episode was pretty good. I enjoyed it. But anyways, back to Fear of the Walking Dead. So I don't know. We're going with Al next week. Maybe we're going to get closer to the Rick mystery to figure out, because we know on the timeline now this is set. Well, I see that some people can deduce exactly where we are, but I mean we know that Dwight's been. He had been there like a month. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where it lines up with for the experts that listen to this podcast, where exactly are we on the I mean, I know that we're the podcast and it's like, oh, you should know that, but sorry.
I don't know anything at this point.
I have not been paying I don't know. I've been paying attention, but this season hasn't really grabbed me. So, if you can, let us know where the timeline is, but I don't think Rick's left yet. So, I mean, if I'm thinking right, we should still be at a point before Rick was carried off. So, who knows? Maybe that helicopter left from there and went back to base and then ended up going to Alexandria, which I hope they got a lot of extra gas. That's a long ways for a helicopter to fly.
Yeah, it is.
Unless helicopters have really big gas tanks and they can fly from Texas to Virginia. I don't know. Let me know. I'm not really much of an expert on helicopters.
I don't know, man. I guess they have like outposts here, there, and yonder. I don't know, but
yeah, maybe it'll all. I mean, if they tie it all in together, it could be worth it. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, there's still potential for it to to be a good season, but I don't know.
Just I don't know. Just coming off the exciting season 9 which I've read a lot of people that didn't like season 9 of The Walking Dead, and I'm like, man, I love to see it. See, it's for that it kind of reinvented the show for me, kind of like renewed my passion for it.
Oh yeah, dude, I love The Walking Dead right now. A couple of years ago we'd have been saying the opposite. The Walking Dead really needs to get some steam behind it again, and Fear is killing it.
Yeah, like season 7 of The Walking Dead, I enjoyed. It just was very slow. Like we've said several times, and I think a lot of people have said, the way the show should have went was it ended season 6 with Negan being introduced. We should not have gotten the cliffhanger. We should have saw who died. Coming back into season 7, the whole first half of the season should have been Rick submitting, thinking there's no way to win, yada, yada, yada. And then the second half of season 7 should have been the battle. Now, think if you condense those 2 seasons into that, how much faster of a paced show it would have been. Mm-hmm. But instead, we drug it out for 2 whole seasons. Or maybe even the mid-season finale of season 8 should have been when they took Negan down. Whatever. Just, yeah. But I mean, still, season 9 for The Walking Dead, I loved everything about it. I loved the stories. I loved the characters. I loved the way that we got multiple stories per episode, as far as we got to see what was happening. We didn't just get like a straight up Alpha episode or, a straight up Lydia and Henry story. Like, we saw what was happening with them, but then we also saw what was happening with Daryl. And then we also saw what was happening with the new people and Michonne. And, so I just, like I said, I love season 9, and just going from that to this, I'm just kind of like, it's a little lackluster. Somebody in our comments last week said they need to go ahead and just kill Morgan. Yeah, I don't want to see Morgan die, but I would love to see a controlled beast Morgan. Like, that's the only place left. I mean, either he stays super peaceful or he needs to go to that, because if we see him flip again, it's just like, oh, come on, man. Like, he was good, then he was crazy, then he was good, then he kind of went crazy again, and now he's good again. What we need is a Morgan who is good but does not mind getting down and dirty if he has to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with like where the characters are development wise. Just put them in a
good scenario,
plot,
right? Yes.
Build a good plot around them, and
because sometimes this show and shows like it get to the point where basically once a character completes a story arc, you have to kill them off, and it's like, no, you can complete their character transformation, but then, like you said, then take that new character that they've become and put them in a good, awesome scenario.
Yeah.
And, maybe they're setting up for one. Who knows? I mean, maybe we're going to get Morgan and Rick back together again. I mean, I would love to see Morgan's reaction to finding out that Rick is assumed dead, or whatever. I mean, he's, in his mind, Rick Grimes is probably going to live forever. Mm-hmm. Well. Now, we haven't seen Dwight anymore. We got introduced to him, which last week's episode 3, was probably my favorite this season so far. And damn it, now we don't know where John, and we don't see John and June and Dwight, or just Dwight. I'm like, well, I want to see some Dwight.
Yeah.
I really didn't like him when he first showed up on the show, and then I started really liking him when he made his turn. So I watched a horror movie on Netflix that had him in it. He was a douchebag, like boyfriend of this girl.
Looks like he plays a douchebag well. He's got the face for it.
I still think the best douchebag that they ever casted was the guy that Morgan killed by like holding him through the fence.
Oh yeah,
and letting the zombies. What was his name? Jarrett,
I think
something to that effect. Like that guy is just and he was actually a douchebag, and he's played a douchebag in a lot of stuff. And I mean, he probably is like the nicest guy in real life, but he plays a douchebag so well. But I don't know. Sorry for the lack of conversation this episode, but they just didn't really do anything that has me like ready to buzz about. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they killed zombies in a really cool way with plane propellers, but I mean, at this point we've seen really cool zombies kills, and I'm sure that they try to keep reinventing the wheel on that and coming up with new creative cool ways to kill zombies. But I'm with JP. Like, I want a compelling story, man.
Yeah, man. I would have liked to have seen Luciana die, or like the kid, the sister who fell and hurt her leg. Man, I'd have just, it'd have been nice to just see her get eaten by zombies. I mean, is that so much to ask? Just, see a character, and not even a main character, but just a character get, freaking eaten by zombies.
See,
Luciana would have been perfect. Just kill her off.
And it gets so
this
predictable,
episode.
too. Like, I told my girlfriend when I was watching it, like, where the zombies were about to get them when they fell down, and then Morgan and Alicia showed up, that you knew that was going to happen. Like, you knew they were about to be saved. A cool trick would have been, like, to have that set up, like you think, oh, somebody's about to save them. And then they don't. The zombies just go down and start chomping down on them, and you're like, oh, my God.
I mean, I would have been cool with them saving one of them, but, let's see one of the little kids get eaten alive. Like they show up just in time to save one, but the other one is just, dog food.
Well, the thing is, to our knowledge, we don't have this overlooming threat, and I think that's what The Walking Dead does. I mean, it was the governor, and then it was, then it was the Terminus people, and then it was, Negan, and then it was the Whisperers. Like, you have this overlooming threat that they're combating, and with Fear the Walking Dead, it just kind of feels like we're just walking around zombie land. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily any, like I said, kind of like an end game. Like, we don't really have anything we're trying to get to. We're just kind of there.
And what they are trying to accomplish, just again, it seems so kind of like, Morgan wants to save people, and now we're scattered, and we got to get to each other again and find a plane. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I hate hating, and I'm not hating, but...
No, but I mean, it's okay to be unhappy with a show. Some people can't deal with opposite opinions, but I mean, no. I mean, this season is just not really blowing my mind in the way that, like, Season 3 and the first half of Season 4 did.
Well, it's just they built something in Season 3, I forget the name of the group, but, like, the bikers who want to... build a new trade route to restore, society. And like,
we hadn't seen them since the dam, right? They got away, right?
I don't know what happened to them.
They got away, I believe. I thought.
I guess the guy that was up there in the wheelchair or whatever, I guess he, bit the dust. But it couldn't have took out all of them, I wouldn't think.
It'd be cool if you found out those were, like, saviors, or they were, like, they became the saviors or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be really cool.
So, man, I think it'd be really cool to just, like, they fell into this faction with the Texas Rangers. You got, like, the cartel territory, the Aryan territory. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of how it would really be, though. Like, I've watched those or read those stories where they talk about what the real apocalypse would be like. And, I mean, unless, it really was one of these scenarios where just, like, 90% of humanity was wiped out, I mean, you're going to have, like, what was it show you mentioned? The one where it was kind of, like, showed if the world ended, and it kind of showed, like, this family and, like, what they go through and what would happen. And one of the big things was that, like, local gangs will seize control of things like water and food and rations and weapons. And, that's going to be a big obstacle you're going to face. So that these gangs and cartels and stuff, this is their time to shine. You know what I mean? They don't have law or anyone to stop them. So, I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah, I know I said, man, I'm just kind of...
If you read that book, that series that I've bragged so much on, The Remaining by DJ Moles, I love it. Or Molly, his name's Molles, and you call him, like if it's a Molly strap, it's spelt that way. So Moles or Molly, I don't know how you say his last name, but it's called The Remaining, and it is so good. And, like, that's what they're facing now is, like, in the series goes through and you follow the same character, and he picked it back up. He kind of left it off and you thought that was it. And now he's following the character. And now the problem the character is facing is a big cartel has seized control of a lot of oil.
Right.
Like, and they, they've killed some of his people, and they're basically like, this is our territory, blah, 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 blah. And that's what's so good about that is because, just like you said, that's what he's facing is a cartel of organized, degenerates who are powerful, and they have control of a necessity that they need, and yada, yada, yada. So if you like good apocalyptic stories, and especially one that hasn't kind of gotten burnt out like other ones, check out The Remaining, man. It's a book series, not a comic, but I promise you, that is such a good book series, man. I've went back and reread it like 2 or 3 times, and now the second book in his new run has started, and it's only available with, like, Kindle right now, so I need to wait till the hard copy comes out, but still. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry that we digressed so much this one. It just didn't, it's just nothing that really caught me this episode.
Didn't really do much for me.
It was great to see some more Daniel and Strand, but now Daniel's gone. I don't know if he'll be back anytime soon. But we'll see. So let us know what you thought. Tell us why we're completely wrong, why we're dummies, and this episode was absolutely amazing and we need to get our act together.
Yeah.
Or let us know if you agree and you're just not really digging this season so far. I mean, like I said, I'm not hating it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just, again, coming from what they've been able to do in the past, and then this season of The Walking Dead to this, I'm just kind of like, all right, this is okay. When's The Walking Dead come back on again?
Yeah, man, it's one of those things where I'm still very much invested in the characters, but I really need them in a worthwhile plot.
Right. I need you to give us some like dire scenario. Like I don't know, maybe this group in the helicopter are getting ready to nuke that entire area. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get out or trying to stop it, or just give me something, some kind of race against time. Or
yeah, man. Like, I mean, they had this cool scenario with the radiation. Give me some like radiation poisoned crazy carnivore hillbillies. Make it like a Hills Have Eyes kind of thing.
I agree, man. Yeah, you're right. We got the radiation thing, and maybe they'll come back to that. But now it's just kind of like, that was like a little story.
Right. Like they're trapped in this farmhouse with these crazy backwoods people, and they don't even realize they're going crazy and dying from this radiation. So they've got to talk them out of, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Right. You're right. No, I agree. I mean, you could definitely spin something really cool from that. Yeah.
Something. Give me something.
I definitely thought the radiation thing was leading us somewhere cool, and maybe it still is, but it's just taking a long ways to get. I mean, like, it's just kind of like they forgot, we had that, and that was just like a little subplot, and it's already done.
Texas is oil country. We could do a cool, like, Mad Max kind of story where, everybody's kind of fighting to get like an oil reserve or something. Yeah. I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe it'll pick up. I'm not going to lose faith yet, because I had lost faith on the show completely after season 2. I fell off the season 2 mid-season finale and was just like, whatever. And then season 3, I just decided to jump back on it. In season 3, I've watched that 2 or 3 times, man. I love season 3. I still would love, even though, I mean, he did get clunked in the head and washed away by the water, but somehow for Troy to show back up,
yeah,
that would be badass.
I don't know, man.
He was just a very well-written character, in my opinion. I mean, like, he was a very conflicted guy. He never was truly a good guy, but he wasn't necessarily always a bad. I mean, he's just a good character. Like, he's just one that you hate sometimes. Other times you're like, am I actually rooting for him? Like, just a good character. And I like how they did his thing, because he never fully became good. Like, he might have, not done some, he's done some good things, but he still was that, because it was more true to life. People don't really change that quick. People don't have this come to Jesus moment and, I'm a changed man. I mean, he still was a very conflicted, very screwed up guy, but I don't know. So I would be okay with that. I mean, if we can split a bullet on an axe and hit 2 zombies right square in the middle of the head, then there's got to be some way Troy could have survived.
I'm telling you, I missed that show.
What, season 3?
Yeah, I miss Fear the Walking Dead.
Let us know what you thought in the comments below. We'll continue to talk. Hopefully next week we'll have more talking points. Maybe the owls run in. Maybe we'll uncover some cool stuff about these people in the helicopter. So
yeah, man. And next week I'm really going to try to sit down and watch the previous episodes leading up to this one, and maybe watching it all together. Maybe I'll.
Yeah, I think I might do that too. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that next Sunday. I'm going to go hiking a little bit. I might try to drag you out there with me, but
I might be down for that. We'll see.
But when I get back, because we usually get back by 3 or 4, so we'll have time to watch a few episodes before it starts. So, but yeah, let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We podcast about all kinds of things. Tomorrow's our Trending Tuesday. We talk about things happening in the world. Wednesday is our Random Rambling Wednesday. Thursday is where we answer your questions, and I'm excited because we've only got one more to record, and then starting on Fridays, we're going to have a limited little series where we talk to people who have had a lot of supernatural encounters, one of which we're working on is a guy who wrote a book about being abducted by aliens.
Well, he wasn't abducted, but a small group of friends saw a UFO.
Oh, they saw it? Oh, I thought he was abducted.
No, he wasn't abducted.
Well, either way, that's no guarantee, but we're definitely going to work on getting him. Our good pal, Matt Crowder, we plan to get him in studio maybe this week to talk about his. So we've already got 2 recorded. I want to have 3 recorded, so when I start releasing them, we have a little breathing room so that if, like, the alien guy's like, well, I can do it, but I can't do it until next week, then it's like, okay, well, cool, we still have something to release this week. We're not relying on that. I don't want to tell you guys, sorry, we couldn't get it this week. So we're going to have a paranormal podcast starting up. Hopefully, we're going to start doing some Woke Wednesdays or Woke podcasts where we're going to talk about conspiracies.
Yeah, man, let's try to do that this week. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm down, man. I'm always willing to have my mind opened.
Just trying to think of what our first topic should be. I have a guy who really is adept on the QAnon thing. I guess that's what you call it, Anon or QAnon or whatever, the Q stuff, and then Like I said, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, man. So I look forward to hearing it. So consider subscribing. Also, social media info. JP, where can they find you and follow you?
All right. Periscope, Jpslim, JPSLIM, Jpslim on Periscope.
Hey.
Then you got Instagram, J_Radsaw. Then you got Snapchat, JP5000, JAYPEA 5000, baby.
Hey.
Oh.
You can find me. Mine's a little bit easier to find just because all of my accounts have the same name. Mine is just I'm Justin Lloyd. All lowercase, no apostrophes, no spaces, just I'm Justin Lloyd. 2 L's in Lloyd will get you my Instagram, my Periscope, and my Snapchat. I need to start using Periscope more, but I don't. I do use Instagram pretty regularly and Snapchat. So feel free to follow there. And JP, before we go, one more thing. Let's talk about that Patreon because if you help, support this channel, we really want to turn this into a video podcast. But come to find out, video equipment is not cheap.
Yes, you're not, donating, you're investing, you're helping the podcast. A link is in the description below. Couldn't be easier. Many tiers to choose from. Start at $1, go up from there, do whatever you want. I put a video on our Patreon yesterday, and it goes, there is exclusive content on the Patreon page you can't see any other way. And I put a little video on there about the prize pack, which when we hit 20 patrons, and we're about halfway there, we're going to do a drawing for a prize pack. Everyone's entered to win, whether you donate $1, whether you donate $500, whatever. Everyone's in the running, and it's going to have some cool stuff in it, Walking Dead merch, as well as some other things.
Absolutely, man. And we just appreciate whatever. If you can do $1 a month, sweet. If you can do 10 a month, sweet. If you can do 20 a month, hot damn.
Yeah. And again, we're not buying new Chuck Taylors because for one thing, I have a very high arch and I cannot wear them. And for number two, we just need, more money to put into the podcast. We want to make merch for you guys. We want T-shirts.
Yep. I say that's our main 3 things: cameras, a better editing laptop, and merch. Because computers that I have, the video and graphics card just is not made to handle video. And obviously, if we're doing it, we'll be doing it. And I doubt we would do 4K. I don't really see them. My dad's got a 4K drone, and they're awesome. But nobody really. We would be doing it in 1080, but even 1080, the computers that I have, just when you get to editing, and I've done video editing for a long time. When you go to splice up the video clips and everything, it just gets to lagging and freezing, and it's just a pain in the butt. My editing laptop crashed a few years ago, and I've been kind of lost without it. But that's what we want to get is merch, cameras, and we really only need about 2 cameras because the easiest way to start it out, unless we just started getting enough to do like some crazy good production, is I would just do split screen. We'd do a camera on me and a camera on you and put them side by side, and that's how we would podcast.
Doggone.
And eventually it would be 3, have one kind of showing all, both of us, and then one of each of our own individual.
Yeah.
But that's the main thing, man. Editing laptop, cameras, and merch. We want to give you guys stickers, T-shirts. And, keep in mind, if you're a patron, we'll be sending out. We've talked about doing things like just sending patrons down the road, like thank you packages with, like, merch in it. You know what I'm saying? Like a shirt, and a koozie, sticker, hat, things like that. So, but, yeah, even if you don't do the Patreon, though, we understand sometimes money's tight, which is why we have a Patreon. We feel you. So we just appreciate you listening regardless.
Yeah, and once we get merch, we'll be doing drawings as well, just with commenters and stuff.
Yeah, so merch won't be exclusive. Like, we'll definitely be sending, because, the Patreon's invested into the merch, so obviously we'll send them some stuff. But we'll definitely be doing things for those of you that aren't on the Patreon. We might have a contest to win a box of Podcasting Dead swag just for people in the comments section, not even the thing. But.
Yeah. So we have cool stuff on the way.
And it's Monday, so forgive the rambling. I'm not here. I am still at home in bed.
I can see it now in my mind's eye.
Me in my bed, or you in your bed?
Don't worry about it.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. We'll catch you tomorrow for Trending Tuesday. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we are the Podcasting Dead.